Mr. Speaker, again, we are here during a rule debate talking about this majority's agenda for Congress. And it's funny because Republicans have a razor-thin majority. They have no mandate. A mandate is like you won by 20 or 30 or 40 seats. You guys lost seats in the last election. Republicans have the smallest majority in nearly 100 years. And so Republicans need every single vote to pass crummy partisan bills like this one. They can't afford to have any of their members miss a vote. And Mr. Speaker, when Democrats were in charge, when I was the chairman of the Rules Committee, we actually put in place proxy voting in response to a worldwide pandemic. Anyone could cast their vote remotely if they had an excused absence. Because it's 2025 and not 1725, and we actually can use technology to vote remotely. The backlash we got from Republicans on this was insane. You know, they went out to the press and they said that proxy voting was illegal. It's unconstitutional. It's this, it's that. And guess what? They did it themselves. Speaker Johnson voted remotely 39 times. Let me repeat that. Speaker Johnson voted remotely 39 times. And he voted remotely so he could go home early. He voted remotely so he could visit school kids. He voted remotely for an entire week once. He just didn't show up. Then, despite him voting remotely dozens of times previously, when Johnson became Speaker, he ended remote voting because he said it was, quote, unconstitutional. Unconstitutional. Yet he voted remotely 39 times. So imagine my surprise, Mr. Speaker. Totally blew my mind this week when I see that Representative Byron Donalds somehow voted, and he wasn't even here in this building. Mr. Speaker, I have a parliamentary inquiry.
Parliamentary inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, are members allowed under the House rules to vote by proxy?
Inquiry.
Are members allowed under House rules to vote by proxy?
Rule 3, a member may not authorize another person to cast their vote, and members are also prohibited from casting a vote on behalf of another member.
So further parliamentary, Mr. Speaker, are members allowed to vote by proxy if they have a TV appearance in California that they really want to go to?
Under Clause 2 of Rule 3, a member may not authorize another person to cast their vote, and members are also prohibited from casting a vote on behalf of another member.
Right. So this is really interesting now, because last week Congressman Byron Donalds was at HBO studios in California, not on the House floor. But somehow news reports say he also voted here on the House floor at the same time. And this is so interesting, Mr. Speaker, because I have a tweet here from 2 years ago when Representative Donalds says, and I quote, "Today, House Republicans will vote to end proxy voting once and for all. The House of Representatives isn't a tech company. Its members should work in person in the people's house," end quote. Yet he voted by proxy, and after he voted to end proxy voting. And this is the kind of hypocrisy that appears to be a specialty with my Republican colleagues. And again, Mr. Speaker, let me ask if I can make a further parliamentary inquiry.
Status parliamentary inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, let's say a member of Congress has a baby. Let's say they're undergoing treatment for chemotherapy. Let's say a close family member dies. Is there a provision in the rules for them to vote remotely?
Provide advisory opinions or respond to hypothetical questions.
Well, Mr. Speaker, this is not hypothetical, and I kind of get what's going on here, but we have a colleague, Representative Pedersen, who is currently home because she just gave birth. She can't vote because this majority has refused to put in place a bipartisan tool to allow it. Meanwhile, Republicans are out here breaking the rules while they jet off to Hollywood. So clearly the rules apply and are held so sacrosanct by the majority that they can't be changed for new moms, but somehow they can be changed for interviews in Los Angeles. So, let it apply to thee and not me. Mr. Speaker, further inquiry, where Representative Donalds votes recorded as if he cast them properly, or has his absence been recorded?
The chair would direct the gentleman to Clause 2 of Rule 3.
So if I understand that correctly, they were recorded, even though he wasn't here in person.
The gentleman is free to consult the records of the House.
Okay. I have, and his vote was recorded even though he wasn't here. So let's just call this what it is. It's voter fraud under the rules that the Republicans have put into place. Let's not even get started about who used Donald's card to vote for him. They are fraudulently casting votes on the House floor to make sure they win every time, whether or not they have enough members here. But apparently the voter fraud is okay if they do it. This is unbelievable. I reserve my time.
Gentleman reserves. The gentleman